Hey Maker, welcome to the Snapseed photo editing for product photography 6-part video series. This is video 6. This is a 6-part video series and you can easily access all 6 videos by clicking the link up here or in the description below. If this is your first time joining me, my name is Christina Nicole, and I'm a product photography coach teaching makers like you how to take your own high quality product photos that actually attract more customers and make more sales for your product-based business. In this video number 6, I'm going to take you into Snapseed and show you my editing workflow. Let's go. One thing you'll notice as I take you through my workflow inside of Snapseed is I don't do a lot of editing. It's not that I don't choose to do a lot of editing, it's because I don't have to. Because when I go to take product photos, I have a proper light setup. If you're really struggling with natural light and you want to learn how to make natural light work for you, check out my 5-day challenge light. Light's going to help you evaluate the light available to you, diagnose any problems you're having, and create a cure no matter the time of day, the season, or the frustrations that you're experiencing. I only offer light twice a year, so make sure you click the link in the right-hand corner or grab it from the description below and get on the wait list. So this is the image we're going to work with today. Once you upload the photo, the first tool I always use is the curves tool. So I'm going to click tools at the bottom. I'm going to select the curves tool. And I've already showed you guys how to use this tool. Okay, but I really want to focus on getting my exposure where I want it, increasing my exposure. And then also taking, my darks back down. Okay, so I think I like that. And one thing you'll notice is I don't crop initially. That is not the first thing I do. The reason I don't crop is I may need to make multiple crops for this specific photo, depending on where I'm going to use it. And I want to make sure that the edits are applied to the entire image. Okay, so I'm just focusing on the edits right now, and then I'll save the cropping and resizing for the end. The next tool I'm going to look at is going to be the white balance tool. I'm going to zoom in because I really want to focus on making sure that my color temperature on my face, because this is where I'm going to kind of crop. So I'm going to be cropping the image kind of like this. So I want to come in, zoom in, and make sure we're getting our colors well and good. And then we're going to back out. But again, I want to apply the edit to the entire photo. I think that's pretty good. So you will notice that my hands are a little wider than my face is. So I'm actually going to hit the check mark and save this, but I'm actually going to go back into the white balance tool and I'm going to scroll up and I'm going to adjust the tint. Okay, because I want to, and I'm solely focusing on my hands right now. I'm going to go back in and I'm going to selectively apply this to only my hands. And that's why I did it as a separate edit. But I want to kind of focus on increasing, the pinkness of my hands so that my hands look more true to color. Okay, so that's pretty good. So we're hit the check mark. And then I'm going to go back into edits at the top right. View edits. I'm going to select that second white balance and then click that little brush square. And with 100% applied, I'm just going to go in and actually apply this only to my arms and my hands. Here, I might need to zoom in a little bit more so I can get kind of a harder to find line here. And it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. Keep that in mind. And if you overspray, you can always go down to a 0, kind of delete. Also keep in mind when you go in, when you zoom in, you're going to have a tighter line. All those things. Take the eye off and just kind of look at that. And now that kind of matches, my face coloring a little bit more, a little pinker. Okay, so I have the check mark there. Now you'll also notice that my cup is a little crooked. So we're going to back out of those edits. We're going to go back into tools. I'm going to hit the rotate tool. And I'm going to rotate this until the glass is a little more straight. Perfect. Zoom in and kind of take a look here. I don't really need to mess with the perspective at all. I may want to go in to view edits again. Actually, I'm going to do a separate one. So I'm going to go back into tools. I'm going to do another curves tool because I actually want to increase exposure on my face a little bit more, but not my arms. So while I'm increasing this, I'm solely going to focus on my face and the exposure I kind of want my face to be. Because you'll notice that my hands, because they're closer to the light source, they're getting a little blown out. They're looking a little washed out. So I'm solely focusing on my face right now. And I like that about there. Hit that check mark. I'm going to go back into my edits at the top, view edits. Click on that last curves. Click on the square brush. And then we're going to turn the eyeball on and we're just going to apply this to everything but my hands. So we can start out here. Oh, my hands and arms. And we can come in a little closer. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but you do want majority of the image to be covered in full red, except for the hands. We're not doing the hands. I don't know if I don't think I'm going to do the cup either. I'll look after to make sure. I'm going to have to go back in and go to 0 and delete this because I accidentally went over that. Back up to 100. So essentially what I'm doing is the curves edit that I just made. I'm 100% applying it to the entire image except for my hands and the actual cup because they were getting a little more light on them. And we don't want them to look washed out. Okay. So let's zoom back out. Let's take the eyeball off. And then I'm going to zoom in and make sure that I just like the look of this. Yeah. So now my face looks a little more even with my hand tone. The exposure's nice and even now. Got a nice little pinkish look to them. And we're good to go. So I think I'm pretty happy with that edit in general. So the first thing that I like to do, I'm going to click the check mark and back out of the edits. So I am happy with my edits at this point. And again, I'm mainly focusing, even though I edited the whole photo, I'm mainly focusing on myself because I know that's kind of how I'm going to crop it for social. There's 2 different crops I'm going to make. I'm going to make one for an Etsy thumbnail. And then I'm going to make one for social. That's going to be a little more fun and playful with my face in it. Now you'll notice that my eyes are looking at the product. So a lot of times we don't like to include eyes in product photos because they still focus, but this is what we call eye lines. So initially my eyes are going to grab your attention, but then my eyes are leading you to the product because I'm actually looking at the product. So this is the only time that I would incorporate eyes into a product photo is if you're actually looking at the product, because initially eyes are going to grab attention, but then they're going to direct the viewer to the product because I'm looking at it. So the first thing that I like to do is go to export, and this is specific to iOS, and I do save a copy. Okay. That's going to save all the edits I made. It's going to put it into my photos album. And sometimes I like to actually create an album that's called Save a Copy. So I know that I can go into that photo, I can re-upload it to Snapseed, and I can make adjustments to those edits. Remember, we talked about the non-destructive editing stacks? On iOS only, you can re-upload that photo into Snapseed and make adjustments to the edits again. So that's the first thing I do. Second thing I do is I go and I crop. So I've made all the edits I want to this. So now I'm going to crop for the platforms I'm using. So I'm going to hit Tools. I'm going to go to the crop. And the first thing we're going to do is for social. So I'm going to use this in a reel. So I'm going to select 16:9 and then I'm going to rotate it. Okay. And I'm actually going to leave it like that because as I mentioned, I'm going to actually center the product a little bit more. I want to use the eye lines to draw attention to the product. Now, because I want to resize this for social, I'm going to hit the 3 little dots in the corner, settings, and I'm going to go to image sizing, and I'm going to select 2000, back out, format and quality, select JPEG 80, back out again. Now, for these edits to be applied, I have to select export and then actually export the photo. Okay. Now that export option, I can't re-upload that and view my edits. That's why I use the save a copy as well. Now I'm going to go back into my edits, view edits, and I'm going to delete this crop because I want to go back to the original and I'm going to make another crop for an Etsy thumbnail. Go to Tools, Crop. I'm going to select 4:3, and then I'm going to resize this to where I'm solely focusing on the cup. Filling most of the frame. I'm keeping. Now I could, completely center this, but then like part of my fingertip is missing. I want to get a little more of my chin in. I want to put a little tiny bit of negative space below my hand. Centering this, but a little bit of negative space on top of my hand as well. Okay. Has that check mark. And this is going to be my thumbnail for Etsy. The product is within that square crop as well, but I'm using a 4:3 because we're still having some 4:3 show up in search. And then I've already set in my settings to resize to 2000 and 80%. So we're good to go there. So we're just going to hit export and we're going to export that photo. And that's my workflow inside of Snapseed. I hope you learned a lot from this amazing photo editing app. Let me know in the comments what you found most useful from this 6-part video series. Please take the time to like this video if you found it useful, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to learn more about taking your own high-quality product photos. See you next time.